first thing is, what I feel as a recruiter you need to have is you need to have empathy with the candidate. I know that being a recruiter is not an easy job. Every day you will get at least 50 to 100 calls from the candidates asking about the status, what happened to my application and all.
Please, can you tell us a little bit about you, your background, and what you've been doing?
So, as you know, my name is Muzaffar. So, I handle the talent acquisition team for Saffronic. So, just to give you insight about what Saffronic is part of Tech Mahindra. I believe you know the company Tech Mahindra. So, Tech Mahindra is a giant IT company in India. So, Saffronic is an animation and games division within Tech Mahindra. So, I head the talent acquisition team for them. And apart from talent acquisition, I also take care of the resource management. So, when I say resource management, there is a separate team within Tech Mahindra which is called as workforce management team, because they typically perform like an IT company, and unlike we are an animation and game studio, we have a different culture altogether, different from the IT company. So what I do is I take care of the external recruitment. Whenever we have new projects, when we want to increase the headcount, I kind of hire the candidates from the market. Internally, we also look for talent who's available on bench and then deploy these across the projects. I also worked for 1 year with a German company. It was a virtual reality company. The name of the company was Real World One. So they hired me as a manager, and then I grew up to a role of senior manager there, but just for a short duration, 1 year. So it was a great company because it was a startup company. So I got my hands on, building up the recruitment processes, policies, and, building a QA team and team of asset artists and all that for them. So after that, of course, Tech Mahindra. But before Real World One, like 8 years of my career was with a company called Technicolor. I'm sure you know Technicolor. It's a 100-year-old company which is into animation, games, VFX, and they also do a lot of roto and match move work. So I was with this company. This is where I started my career as a corporate recruiter. But before that, I started my journey as a recruiter with a consultancy called Task Outsourcing, which is a Dubai consultancy where I was working for IT recruitment and all that. But I would say what is a memorable recruitment experience I had, where I had a lot of learning and all that, I would call Technicolor.
That's awesome. Let's start from the beginning then. So can you tell us how you got started into recruitment, and also talk us through your journey as you went through as well?
Unlike others, I can't say that I'm very passionate about recruitment. If I say that, it would be a lie. Recruitment happened to me. So soon after I finished my MBA. In my MBA, I took up dual specialization. It was marketing, sales, and human resources. So the first job, in the colleges, they have placements and all that. My first job was into sales. So I didn't enjoy the sales job because it was more of a field work, and, Bangalore at that point of time was a new city for me, and I was not enjoying the sales job. Then I left the job. I went into some banking kind of job. Again, it was more to do with, getting a savings account and customer accounts created for the bank. That was through, again, my friend. I was not enjoying that as well. But luckily, the same friend who got me a bank job referred me into a company where his friend was a recruiter. So he told me, why don't you try as a recruiter? Because you also have, specialization to human resources. Maybe you might fit as a recruiter. But I didn't know that I might fit as a recruiter or not. This guy gave me a, opportunity that you should try that. He gave me an idea, and then I attended the interview with this company, and of course I got shortlisted. That's how I started my journey into recruitment, and eventually I started liking it. Unlike the sales jobs where I had switched 3 sales jobs within 1 month, recruitment, I'm still there for last 12 years or 11 years. So recruitment happened to me, and I started loving the job because I think I started emoting with what I have gone through after my college, because I was not having a job for almost 6 months, a stable job I would call, for 6 months. And then when I became a recruiter, when I started offering jobs to people, I started liking it. Okay, you could contribute something to people who have been into your, you who have been into your shoes, like not being employed and all that. That's where I started my journey as a recruiter. And then with this company, Task Outsourcing, I was doing hardcore IT hiring and also a bit of hiring into support functions like sales and business development for all the Dubai clients, for companies like Emirates Airlines, Al Futtaim, shredded, and couple of roles into real estate and all that for companies like the Mac and all that. So I was there with this company for close to 2 years. This company, I would say, task outsourcing, I would always remember that this is the company which has taught me how to do recruiting, how to give a keyword, how to search for talent, what are the keywords that you need to be putting into the job portals, how do you connect with people on LinkedIn, what do you need to have as a recruiter. As a recruiter, what is the etiquettes you need to have, how do you connect with people, how do you sell a job. Basically, again, selling a job is like recruitment is also a sales job where you have to chase your numbers and close your numbers, hit your targets, and all that. But I would call task outsourcing is that company who made me a recruitment specialist, where I knew how to give a keyword search, how to connect with talent, how to interview them, and how to take them through the complete process, scheduling interviews and all that. And after task outsourcing, I got an opportunity with Technicolor. So Technicolor is the company where I entered into a corporate world. So basically, when you are there as a consultancy recruiter, you're only bothered about how much money you're making in 3 months, because you get very good incentives and all that. But when you get into a corporate recruitment, I think it was a completely different ball game altogether. That's where I kind of transformed from recruiter to a talent acquisition specialist, because my job was not just to close the numbers, but also there was a much bigger picture that opened to me, because it's not just it's not only about closing the numbers, it's also about to retain the talent. It also about to upskill the talent. It was also about branding your employer. It was so many different things, not just closing numbers. So I think Technicolor is a company which was into animation and games. I always wanted to be a gamer, but didn't happen because my parents were very strict that either you go into engineering or you go into medicine. That didn't happen as well. So I had to pursue MBA. So animation and games is something I was very passionate about. So I started learning more about the industry. I started joining so many communities, and of course there were a lot of artists, creative talent. So I used to sit next to them, because to learn how the pipeline is, how movies are made, how games are made, and all that. Because it was a shocker for me completely when I entered into Technicolor, because unlike IT hiring, you don't depend on the job portals. You absolutely will not find any creative talent on the job portals. So the main thing is there are different communities of artists where you need to connect with these people. There are artistic communities like CG Tantra, artistic communities like Art Stations, and they have a different social media groups where you need to connect and headhunt these people. It's not like you post the job and you get applications. That didn't happen to me, because constantly for 6 months I was a failure when I joined Technicolor. Fortunate thing, I had a very good boss like Jimmy, who's my boss in Tech Mahindra as well. He taught me that it's not just chasing the numbers. It's first about building your network, understanding the industry, understanding what you are hiring. You should be in a position to analyze if this is the right person to hire for this role. So I had this good mentor, and I of course had one more manager, Santosh, who taught me how to do recruitment operations. It was about talent acquisition and talent operations. So I had these people who kind of groomed me how to look for talent, because creative industry, unlike IT industry, we didn't had vendor empanelments where, unlike other IT companies, whenever you have a new role, you throw it up to the vendors, they give you 100 CVs. Only as a recruiter, you will have to give it to your business to screen, and you schedule the interviews. It was not that. It was about headhunting the talent, building the talent pipeline, having the recruitment funnel always ready whenever you have projects, because whenever you land into a movie project or a games project, you just have 45 days or 1 month to hire people. So for that, you always need to have a healthy pipeline of talent ready to get assessed and then hire them. And as a recruiter, you should also have the nitty-gritties, how to assess a demo reel, if he's a good animator or not, if he's a good asset artist or not, if he's a good game designer or not. So I think whatever I have done in Technicolor for 7 to 8 years made me a man what I am today into recruitment. Otherwise, I would just have been a recruiter who's closing positions. I wouldn't have seen a much bigger picture. So to talk about recruitment in Technicolor, I started as a recruitment specialist. For next 3 years, I was doing creative hiring. And then my manager was like, why do you just want to do this? Why don't you, step up one level up and do something called RCC? That was something which was new process for us. RCC is a recruitment competency center. So Of course, India was a hub for Technicolor where we had 6,000 employees, and of course, Technicolor was also there in 84 countries, if I may say. They have their biggest creative hubs in Europe, London, and other countries. So the idea was to see how we can hire talent sitting at India, because India is a cost-effective model for any country, for any business. The resources are available at a very cheaper rates when you compare with the Great Britain pound or US dollar. Indian currency is a much of a lower value, so you can hire technically 10 people than having 2 people at London. So we thought why can't we hire people sitting in India for Technicolor London or Technicolor Paris or Technicolor Belgium. So that's how this was the idea. We didn't know that we might be successful or not. There was a person by name John Abul who was a transition head at that point of time. We pitched in this idea. She said, well, we can try this. If we are successful, all good. If we are not successful, well, it's okay. So we started doing global hiring. I was the single guy at that point of time. They wanted to experiment with me, so it was successful. Then they said that okay, it was very successful. We were hiring for Technicolor UK and also for a division called Home Entertainment Services, which used to manufacture set-top boxes, one of the other business of Technicolor. So it was successful. Slowly then from UK we got France. Then I had to hire French-speaking recruiters because I was not fluent in French. I don't know French. We had to hire French recruiters. Then we got Technicolor Poland. Then we got Technicolor Australia. Then we got Technicolor China. So we got close to 8 regions who were interested to do business with us, who wanted to give recruitment to us. Then we built a very huge recruitment competency center. Seeing the success in recruitment, we also wanted to try HR operations piece, where the HR operations thing like the payroll, the attendance management, offer letter generation, all that we wanted to streamline to India. Then we hired a dedicated SAP team where we had to create a new applicant tracking system altogether, SuccessFactors, implement this SuccessFactors applicant tracking system to India Technicolor. So from talent acquisition, I was also managing transition management. I was also managing a bit of HR operations piece. Of course, we had a very huge team because since I was the guy who was the starting point for them, so they were all comfortable with me. That's how, along with talent acquisition, I tried my hands into different things of like HR operations, then into transitions, applicant tracking system management and all that. And yeah, everything was good at Technicolor, but then I also got this opportunity from this German company for virtual reality and augmented reality. It was very exciting, so I thought, why don't I try this? So I joined them. I was there for close to 1 year, I think. This was during the Corona period. I thoroughly enjoyed the company, and we also built a very huge team there, scaled up there. But then due to unfortunate situations, I had to kind of look for an opportunity because this company was downsizing in India because they wanted to have a core team in Freiburg. So that's where, fortunately, again, my boss called me that they are building something new with Tech Mahindra and they wanted me there.
How do you describe to someone that you know what you do as a recruiter? And parallel to that, what skills do you think lend well to being a recruiter when you're new to the field?
Okay, so I would say some of the skills that I feel I had in terms of recruitment, that I felt that I might fit as a recruiter, that I wanted to pursue this journey, is because I think I could connect with the candidates. One, because my communication skills were good. And first thing is, what I feel as a recruiter you need to have empathy with the candidate. I know that being a recruiter is not an easy job. Every day you will get at least 50 to 100 calls from the candidates asking about the status, what happened to my application and all that. One, you need to have really good communication skills as a recruiter, what you are conveying to the candidate. And number two, you need to have really good patience as a recruiter, because sometimes a few people get into your nerves because business did not give you feedback, and you can't keep the candidate on hold for a long time. They might be trying for a lot of opportunities as well. So that's one thing. But I feel what contributed for me to be a good recruiter is that I started loving this job. Until you don't love what you do, you can't be good at it. So I know that I want to pursue this career. I wanted to be in this career. So I started learning about what recruitment is, what is the bigger picture in recruitment, how do you, how do you screen the candidates, where are the portals you need to source the candidates, how do you manage the perceptions of your business, because what I have seen in recruitment, most of it is about perception management, the achieving numbers or closing the position come next. It's about perception management. And and on the other hand, apart from the perception management, what I have felt is you need to be data driven. Most of the times we fail because we have a lot of profiles, but we don't update the statuses of those profiles, and you're not data driven. You don't have a healthy recruitment funnel, and you're not prepared. You're only starting your recruitment when you have open positions. You are not prepared one step ahead. So what I felt is you always need to be one step ahead. You need to be constantly connecting with business to see what are their requirements, what is their resource planning looks like, what is their manpower requirements for the next 6 months, and then you build the database for that, and you be ready with that, because business is very aggressive at this point of time, because there is a lot of recruitment agencies who works for a company. And as an in-house recruiter, if you're not able to close the positions, if every time a vendor is closing the position, there is no need for a corporate recruiter within the company. So you always need to be data driven. And number two, you need to be really good at Excel, is what I have understood, because I was really bad at Excel. Whenever you have to present reports, you need, of course, now we are blessed that we have AI, we have really good applicant tracking systems where, you, and a click of button, you get all the dashboards and all that. But again, what I feel is, if your input is correct, only then your output is correct. I have seen a lot of recruiters, you upload 100 CVs and you don't change the statuses. After 60 days, you see that the profile is still lying in the interview stage. Whereas we know that the interview is completed, the candidates are rejected, and me as a talent acquisition head, I'm going to pull out a report from ATS. It will be like garbage in, garbage out for me. I go and present those dashboards to the senior management, I'm gone. So what I tell my recruiters is, your data should be real time. If your data is not real time, then you're not a good recruiter. And one of the best things I have learned from my boss is that you can't keep everybody happy in recruitment. Of course, you can't keep everyone happy. Either the candidate is unhappy end of the recruitment process, or the business is unhappy. But you'll have to live with it, and you have to see what is the middle ground you can find, how you can keep people happy, reasonably happy. You're closing a position, you know that you can't get 100% match for any job, because the business demands are very high level. For threes, say for example, they want somebody who can do 3 persons job, and of course you can't get that in the market. So that's why I keep telling people that you need to hire character and train skill. You get a person who's willing to do that, who's passionate about getting trained and doing that 3 persons job, rather than you want somebody who's a very high performer and then come and do that. They will not do it. They come with a preoccupied mindset. So I always believe in hiring character and then training the skill. So that's what I have been doing. That's what I feel that would make you successful. You need to have an intent to learn. You need to have that patience to see things happening, and you also need to have the courage to fail.
One, I want to go through your typical recruitment process.
Yeah.
The other two, because you come from that sales background and you've had sort of the agency experience, I want you to cover the 360 recruitment, so lead generation of client side, and then end with the account management side when it comes to both the candidate and clients in depth. What the typical process for both of those look like, what are the challenges, and what are some of the successes too?
So it's quite simple though. In terms of a corporate recruiter, it is not just recruitment, it is talent acquisition. So I'll just start with the consultancy recruitment. So the consultancy recruitment process happens like this. We have multiple clients. Of course, there is a lot of bidding that happens by the company. So of course, they get the open positions only if your bid is very competitive. There are vendors in the market who will work for 8.3% rates of the CTC. They have a retainer fee and all that. So whoever is quoting less, of course, they will get it. Whoever gives good profiles, whoever has the lesser turnaround time in giving profiles, who's giving quality CVs, they of course get win the bid. And that's what I have seen in the consultancy recruitment. It's a very aggressive numbers game. So where you get like 50 CVs, send the 50 CVs to the client, and then they screen the CVs, and then you need to be really quick in scheduling the interviews, and you need to be aggressive in negotiating the salaries, because again, end of the day, you also have to save something for your company, because there is two things. One is fixed price projects, and there is time and margin projects. In the fixed price project, what happens is, irrespective what you are offering to the candidate, you get a fixed price for the headcount. It is a fixed price project where even if you're offering say $3,000 for a person, or even if you're offering $5,000, the client will eventually pay you $8,000. So that means you are getting some profit, say $3,000 or $4,000 of profit you are earning for that company. And there are different projects which is time and material projects, where the client will pay based on the number of working hours the person is working for them. So it is a consultancy kind of a thing, consultant kind of a thing, where the person is on the payrolls of this company, where we also do a bit of how can I tell you, the people, because it's a Dubai company, they will be on the payrolls of this consultancy, where we sponsor their visas and all that, but they will be working for the client. I think the best word to describe it is a RPO model, a resource process outsourcing, where they will be employees of this consultancy, but they will be working for the client. So in this consultancy hiring, what I have seen as a recruiter, because I was there only for 2 years, so what I have seen is it is an aggressive number game. So you just have to keep pumping in CVs. You need to be very quick in scheduling the interviews. You need to be very hard in negotiating the offers for them and get the candidate on a lower rates. It was not to do with empathy and all that. It was more to do with closing the positions. It was more to do with achieving your targets, because if you're not achieving your targets, you're not in job. So that's what I have seen in the consultancy kind of environment. But then when I shifted into technical, or when I became a corporate recruiter, they are not bothered about aggressive timelines. Of course, there are timelines by which you have to close positions, because whenever we have a new project coming in place, you need to have the resources 1 month in advance, because there are a lot of things that you also need to take care, because there is asset management, where we have to procure laptops for them. We also have to train them on the project pipeline, what the project is, how it is going to be, and you also have to index them onto the client process and all that. So when I become a corporate recruiter, it was a really eye-opener for me, because you're then not just doing recruitment, then you are playing a bigger game. It's all about talent acquisition, where the employer brand comes into play. There is a very bigger thing they call candidate engagement experience that comes into play, because you are not good with the candidate, you're not keeping the candidate updated. Today people have the candidate has equal power like an employer. You are not giving that kind of candidate engagement experience, then your brand is gone, because people go on LinkedIn, they put something that, oh, this company, you know what, they'll just collect your CV, and then they don't call you for interviews, they don't update you at all. Then your employer brand is taking hit. So your candidate engagement experience need to be top notch. At same time, what I have seen all through these years is that when you talk about candidate engagement experience, it also need to have a human touch. At this point of time, since you have applicant tracking system, you just you keep changing the candidate from one stage to other stage. Of course, the candidate will get an automated mailer from the ATS, but the candidate knows that a machine or a bot is sending these messages to him or her, which I also feel is a troublesome, because they feel that they are not engaging with a recruiter, they're just connecting with a bot. So what I suggest my recruiters is that, of course, people who have been a technical screening reject, of course they get a mass mailer irrespective, we don't connect with them later point of time. But people who are there in your interview process, sometimes interview process takes weeks, sometimes it might also take months. For leadership positions, I have seen it takes months. So you need to have that human touch with the candidates, tell them what's going on, how it is, what is the what process they are in, how much time it will take for them to reach at the final stage of the offer and all that. So human connect is important. Most of it, empathy is also important. You also need to understand what's going through in the candidate's mind, and you also need to assess the candidates. Most of the times, it was also a sad moment for us, where you kind of take the candidate through the interview process, in the urge of keeping the candidate happy because it was a phenomenal, he or she is a phenomenal talent. You also walk that extra mile to offer that hike or the salary they were expecting. And end of the day, when you were waiting to onboard them, they don't turn up. Happened to me multiple times where I was expecting that this person will join on a Monday. I don't see the candidate joining, and I had to cut this sorry face with my business. So that was also there. Those bitter experiences also there. So like I said, when you work in a corporate, it's all about talent acquisition. Then the word recruitment sounds very small because you're not just closing positions. You need to play a very bigger game where you have to onboard the talent. That's one thing. And also ensure the onboarding experience is good. Then retain the talent. You need to see how you're retaining the talent, because we don't want to hire a person only to see that the person is leaving us in next 6 months or next 1 year. When you're hiring somebody, you want to see that how you can at least retain this person for 2 or 3 years. And again, it would not just be a full stop there. You need to see how you are engaging with this talent, how you are upskilling this talent, how you want to work with of course there is different teams who does this, but you also need to identify where are these gaps this talent has if you want to upskill this talent. And not recently, I have done this exercise multiple times, but recently we did this in a very serious manner. It's called succession planning, where you have an immediate next successor ready in place. Because this came in play because even in animation and games industry, the rates are very competitive, and if in case you are hiring a replacement, you are technically paying 2 times than what the person who was working for you was on a salary. Say he was on X salary, the next person will not come on that X salary. You will definitely have to pay Y salary, because you'll end up paying more for a person that you are getting outside from the market. So what we are doing at this point of time in terms of succession planning is, if a supervisor is leaving, one level down, the team lead is already ready to pick up the role of a supervisor. Rather than hiring them from outside the market, we are internally promoting the people. So by promoting this culture, you're also increasing the stability of your current talent, and you're also promoting people rather than getting somebody outside market. You are getting somebody who knows the organization, who knows our culture, who knows the clients better, who knows what what need to be done to ensure the deliveries are faster. We promote such people, and by doing this, you're also cultivating the culture that people know that they will get growth if they are performing better. So we are doing succession planning. We are also doing a lot of exercises in terms of upskilling the talent with current trends, what's there in the animation and games industry. And succession planning is one. There are a lot of exercises that we do to retain the talent, because once the talent is inside the organization, then there is a bigger headache for you to retain the talent. How to retain the talent? So I think in corporate life, it's not just closing the numbers. It is ensuring that you're not reworking on the same position in the next 6 months, because again it will come on to the talent acquisition team, on the recruiter, that you didn't find a correct candidate. You did not find the right candidate for the job. You were not able to assess that this candidate will stay with us for a longer time.
Muzaffar, what's your experience with the Indian market? How have you seen it grow? What's really booming there, and what's still lacking? What can still grow?
Okay, I might not be the right person to talk about the IT stream, because I have not done IT hiring for so many years. I've done it only for 2 years. But IT hiring is something, I think India is a IT hub. Bangalore, Delhi, there are cities where there's a lot of IT professionals. So IT is definitely growing, and a lot of companies wants to invest in India. So apart from that, what I also have seen is there is a lot of startups these days. People who have been into IT, they are leaving their jobs and they are starting their own business, which is really great, because they come up with new ideas. And young companies, they come up with the most unique ideas rather than a big company, because big companies, there are like 30 processes and you can't bypass those processes. You will have to do. But in new companies, they are very linear. They are wanting to try something new. They have that appetite to take risk. But I would say that in terms of IT industry, I cannot speak much. But in terms of animation and games market, I think it has phenomenally grown. For last 1 year, there is a downside in this industry because there have been a lot of things like writer strike, and there have been a lot of ups and downs in the animation and games industry, animation industry and VFX though. But games is significantly booming because every other person has a mobile, and everybody plays one or other games in the mobile, or people who are really into about games, they have PlayStations or Xbox that they play. So gaming market is always booming. In terms of the VFX market, I think VFX market is at this point of time is struggling because of the writer strike that happened for past 2 years. But for sure it is gonna grow, because that movies are making a lot of money. The movie industry is $1 billion industry, and of course the 3D animation that we speak about, we do a lot of preschoolers, we do a lot of animation movies for reputed clients. I cannot mention the clients, but we make a lot of reputed movies, animation movies for the clients. So the business is something which is new for the Indian market. It is not something that we had 20 years back. IT was there for 20 years back. Animation and gaming picked up the speed only from last 10 years. And animation and games is not I would say, whenever you have a student passing out from their school and they are going into graduation, I still don't see them looking at animation and games as a career, because they want to be an engineer, they want to be a doctor. But fortunately now in the Indian market, even the government and bigger studios are taking that stand to educate people that there is this stream called animation and games, where you can make career, where you can make a lot of money, and where you can also do things that which you have not thought about. Because like animation is something which I didn't know till last 10 years, that there is animation which is gonna grow big in 2022. Because when we started in Technicolor, we were only a 300-400 headcount employee. Today Technicolor has 6,000 people. And same with Saffronic, where I am today. We started with like 10-20 employees, and within 1.5 year, 2 years, we scaled up to 350, a team of 350. So the animation business is so good, and people should think of gaming and animation as a career, because most of the things that you can't experience lifetime, you can experience only through animation. For example, whenever in terms of the virtual reality industry that I have worked for, Real World 1, we used to prepare training modules for pharma companies. We used to prepare training modules for bio companies. So that when you are creating a training module for a company through virtual reality, I was blown away, because a company was spending so many $1 million for their employees to send them to Europe or France to get trained. But with a virtual reality headset, you are just sitting at your home and you are seeing everything real time, and you are learning in a experience center rather than traveling, taking a flight and going to Europe and learning there. And through virtual reality, through animation, you have also advanced in the medical industry, where the robots are performing the surgeries, and you can see them real time in the animation. So this industry is growing, and it is gonna grow. So that's what I have seen in terms of animation and games. And gaming industry is booming, because now games engine is not just to develop games. Game engine is used in pharmaceutical industries. Game engine is used in movie making. Game engine is used even in edutech companies to educate people. So it's growing.
To learn from you and hear your experience, and I love how unique it is as well at the moment for where you are and what you're doing. So super cool. I love how you kept your mentors with you and went on the journey. Final question from me is, what advice would you give to someone looking to come into becoming a recruiter? And what advice would you give for their career as well, what the progression could look like?
If somebody is interested into recruitment, the only suggestion that I will give to them is, they need to have, number one, like I mentioned earlier, they need to have patience, because it's a long process. It's not that you get 100 CVs and you expect to close a position. Sometimes even you get 100 CVs, you don't close a position. You might start with a failure, and then you see success only when you know what you are doing. And I'll just give you an example here. when you're hiring for leadership roles, my quick lesson that I have learned is you need to test the person in three different environments. So whenever you're there in an interview, the person will definitely impress you because you're talking only about the technical stuff. You are only talking about the skills that they have and all that. But end of the day, you also need to hire a good human being. So when I was hiring a person for the leadership role, when I was sitting with him, with my boss, along with my boss, and we were interviewing him in the boardroom, he was a fantastic person. But when we are trying to see the same person in a different environment, taking him for a cup of coffee and all that, you see a different person in them. And when you are taking them somewhere else, you see a different person. So what's really important is you need to have that, what can I say? You need to have that real judgment to judge a person if he or she is fit for the job. It's not just matching the keywords of the CV with your job description. You need to know that if that is a right kind of person who will value out for the job. And main important is that you're not hiring a toxic person. Most of the times what I have seen are high performing people. Sometimes what I have seen is really high performing people are toxic as well. They abruptly kill your culture. I would rather prefer a person who has a really good heart and who's a medium performer, and we can always upskill them and make them a good performer. My advice for anybody who wants to get into recruitment, you need to have a really good communication skills. You can't be a person that I don't want to talk to the person, I will only communicate through the email, and I don't want to be the person who will take the blame, because as a recruiter you are the front face for the organization. Whatever you put on the social media, people are seeing. You're the front face for the organization, and you're also gatekeeper for the talent. It also comes down to the employer brand, how you're treating your candidates, if you're keeping them informed or if you're just ghosting the candidates, because all that will come up to your team. If not, you might be there with the company, you might leave the company tomorrow, but the employer brand ultimately takes a hit if in case you don't have that empathy to maintain that good relationship with the candidates. And I feel that if you want to be in recruitment, it's a absolutely brilliant career, because as an HRBP you might be an HR only to your employees within the organization, but as a recruiter you will have a very bigger network. You will have a lot of people, a lot of recruiters, a lot of communities that you will be part of, and you will never run out of job, because even if you are laid off, you know where to or whom to reach out to get a new job. So that advantage, cutting edge advantage, is always there. But recruiter, I feel, is a really divine job, because you're offering somebody jobs. Of course, for experienced people, they take up new roles for hikes, or they take up new roles because I believe that people don't leave the companies, they leave their managers. They want to get rid of this boss and they want to experience new culture. But whenever you're hiring freshers, how you nurture them, how you tell them that what corporate life would be, because I also go to visit the colleges and give them a brief seminar to the students in the animation and games industry, how to enter into a corporate world, what kind of demo reels they need to prepare to impress the supervisors or the creative heads who are there in the industry.